From the University of Salford, this is Utter Radio.
Now you're talking.
Hello and welcome to My Manc Mysteries. You're listening to Utter Radio and I'm Peter. Today we're talking about the supernatural, the unexplained, anything on Earth or beyond. It'll be dead good. We'll delve into crystals, near-death experiences, and we'll ask, are there really ghosts staying in Rochdale?
This is Utter Radio, and you're listening to My Manc Mysteries.
Ghosts are an unexplained phenomenon with alleged sightings dating back thousands of years. They can be unsettling, scary, and even creepy, and there's nothing creepier than a haunted house. Now, we can't do a show about mysteries and supernatural without talking about those ghostly spirits featured in tales dating back centuries. Colin Meredith spends every other Thursday night sharing tales of ghostly hauntings and gruesome murders on his ghost tours in the centre of Rochdale. Earlier this week, we sent two of our reporters to find out more. Our ghost investigator, Lauren Aldred, is in Rochdale, where she's finding out who really resides there and why are they so keen to scare away the locals.
Well, I started it with a fellow actor 8 years ago, Russell, who I do it with. He was going down to London every week to do the London ghost walks, although he'd moved back up north. And he said, why don't we do some Rochdale ghost walks? So we found an interesting book called Foul Deeds and Suspicious Deaths in and Around Rochdale by a local author, John Cole. So we had a look at that and we found some interesting stories in there, some gruesome murders that had happened in Rochdale, and as a consequence there are quite a few ghosts in the town. So we devolved and arranged this ghost walk 8 years ago, and it's been going strong ever since. Well, I'm from Rochdale originally, so over the years, the stories that we've told are obviously interesting to the people of Rochdale, but as we've gone along, we've made it into sort of murder mystery and local history as well. So we tell a lot about the town, stories about buildings, the history of certain buildings around the town. And people are fascinated because most people walk around at street level and never look up. So some of the buildings in Rochdale are very interesting. And obviously we've got a fabulous town hall. So I take people into the lower chambers of the town hall where the police cells used to be, where there is a ghost down there. So yeah, overall, the tour takes about an hour and a half and we fill it with, as I say, ghost stories and some stories about Rochdale. One of the oldest ghost stories in Rochdale is the story of the Baum Rabbit. I mean, we're sat in the Baum pub now, and the church opposite is St Mary in the Baum Church. And the church was actually built in 1909, but there's been a ghost talked about in the graveyard since the 1870s. And it was first mentioned in Robertson's Guide to Rochdale, and he wrote a poem about it. Confound that rabbit, I wish some chap would grab it, and stop its nightly habit. Confound that rabbit. Confound its head and eyes, confound its legs and thighs, confound it otherwise, confound that rabbit. Dogs rush out and squeeze him, worry, toss and tease him. That is, if you can seize him, confound that rabbit. And it's reported that before the church was built in 1909, in the 1870s, a lot of the current roads and area around the church was graveyard, and people have tried to catch this rabbit, they've sent dogs after this rabbit, they've tried to shoot this rabbit, but no one has actually been able to catch the Baum Rabbit ghost.
That was Colin Meredith talking about the ghosts in Rochdale. I don't know about you, but I'd hate to be a ghost hunter. Later in the show, we'll talk to an expert who sells crystals and discusses their magical healing powers. But first, here's something a little bit more down to earth. I recently interviewed Dr. Kenneth Drinkwater, a neurologist, which to common folk like you and me is a brain scientist, and he told me what it's like to have an out-of-body or near-death experience.
Hi, my name's Dr. Ken Drinkwater. I'm currently a senior lecturer at Manchester Metropolitan University.
Near-death experiences, what are the causes of that then?
I think
or is that unexplained as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that ultimately, yes. We're going to say we're not really sure. I mean, I think you can't. Sometimes you can't say within any degree of certainty what these things are. You can say that typically people who perhaps are close to death are experiencing a particular near-death experience, and that's what it's called. So they'll have a particular sort of intense physical or some sort of emotional pain. So people will have a heart attack, traumatic brain injuries, and so on. But also people can also feel this when they have meditation or when they go through meditation. And sometimes there's a loss of consciousness.
Yeah.
And sometimes, studies have been done which talk about a third of the population, a third of people who've come close to death report having experienced one of these. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that we're thinking about with a near-death experience.
Yeah. What's the? A lot of people say they see a light at the end of the tunnel as well. What would you explain? What would you say is behind that, and what's that all about?
I mean, I think sometimes it's researchers talk about that the person has clinically died, and then they report that they've entered a tunnel of light, and they're greeted by. I mean, there's various different descriptions from various people who've come back from that position. So they've experienced what they think is the other side, because obviously people are looking for an explanation, and they're greeted by relatives, beings of light. They're told that they're not ready to pass on, and they're sent back to to be awoken by the doctor or whoever or wherever they are back into this particular life. So, and it depends on an interpretation. So, I mean, I'm always careful because people who talk about these experiences, it's very right and proper and real to them. So, from my perspective, I'm compassionate about. I've never experienced it. When people talk about it, it's real to them, and I'm not there to say anything else. But it's a fascinating subject. It's like hearing a story of something that's unbelievable, and yet they've gone through it. But then it's the interpretation by the person who's experienced it, which is at the heart of this. So, I mean, near death suggests that something's happened that creates this feeling that they've perhaps clinically died.
Thanks to Ken for letting me interview him. He's a very down-to-earth guy. It's an interesting subject too, and if you'd like to know more about Ken's work, you can read about it on the University of Manchester website. Now, I'm looking forward to the future, and I can see we have a package about Oracle cards coming up. But enough about the future, it's time for the present, the news.
From the University of Salford, this is Utter Radio.
Now you're talking.
Hello, I'm Molly Allen, and this is your news roundup. In the early hours of Monday morning, the Duchess of Sussex gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Announcing the birth in the afternoon, the Duke of Sussex, Prince Harry, said Meghan and the baby were doing incredibly well, adding that they were still thinking of names for the infant, who was delivered at 5 o'clock in the morning. The baby is to be introduced to the media in the next few days.
Meghan and myself had a baby boy early this morning, a very healthy boy. Mother and baby are doing incredibly well. It's been the most amazing experience I could ever possibly imagine. How any woman does what they do is beyond comprehension, but we're both absolutely thrilled and so grateful to all the love and support for everybody out there, from everybody out there. It's been amazing, so we just wanted to share this with everybody.
There are increased calls for Theresa May to resign amid mass losses at the local elections and continued Brexit deadlock. Both major parties lost councillors on Thursday, Labour losing 82 and the Conservatives a significant 1,334, with many commentators saying that this is representative of the public's frustration around Brexit. The only parties to gain councillors were those with pro-EU views. Now to Charlie, who will provide further information on the matter.
Thanks, Molly. Yeah, that's true. All major parties lost councillors at the last week's local elections, and the issue is for many voters is that there's just stagnation around Brexit. Nothing's been achieved. They're saying nothing's moving forward. It almost appears as if we're in a state of just staticness. That's been a major issue. So voters have been flooding to alternative parties, and often, as you said there, they've been fleeing to pro-Remain, pro-EU parties. See, UKIP have lost councillors in these elections, Labour have, Tories have. Labour haven't lost as much as Tories or UKIP, but like I say, all major parties are losing votes. And the issue is for Theresa May is she's beginning to look like she doesn't have control of what's going on. So there are calls for her to resign, and there are several ways that could happen. She could just resign herself, but there are ways in which MPs could force her out, and grassroots organisations could force her out, because she's already said she's going to resign when the Brexit process is over, but many people want her to put a firm date on that. So there's several ways she can go out. There's a no confidence vote from Tory MPs. Of course, this was done earlier this year, and the vote was that they are confident in her, so that probably won't happen again for a while. There's a no confidence vote in Parliament, and same thing that happened earlier this year, and it narrowly voted in confidence of her. And then there's the local Tory associations as a grassroots level, who a lot of them already, Clyde South, have voted against confidence in Theresa May. And if all of them or a majority of them do, that will be a non-binding decision for her to leave, though she doesn't have to do that. And then, of course, there's a cabinet revolt, where her cabinet just go against her, because she's going to run out of people to replace eventually. Or she could, of course, quit of her own accord. The problem is, at the moment, no one's quite sure what's happening in the world of politics. It seems to have gone quiet on the Brexit front, and that is a worry, considering we're already more than a month past the Brexit leave date. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Charlie. That's all our news for now. Tune in later for more updates.
From the University of Salford, this is Utter Radio.
Now you're talking.
And now it's time for the magical crystals, capable of healing and much, much more. Our crystal correspondent, Nuala, talked to someone who sells these goods.
Hi, I'm Gemma, and I'm a crystal healer.
What is crystal healing?
Crystal healing is using crystals which come from the earth, and we have energy in our bodies and in the planet, and when we put them together, they oscillate. So wherever you might be on your path, the crystals will help re-level and realign or reburst your energies in a good way, or help release things that you might need at the moment in time.
How long have you been crystal healing for?
I trained and qualified in 2006, so about 13 years, but I've always been interested in crystals. So if I just scan your body through and your chakras and just check your energies and how everything's feeling with you, and then I will be putting some quartz points around the body so I can keep you protected. I'm going to join those up, and then I'm going to put some crystals on your chakras, which are your energy centers. So I'm going to work with your base chakra first. Now I'm going to put a red jasper on that one, and moving up to your sacral, I'm going to put an orange carnelian there.
Which crystals do you like to use when you're healing somebody?
For other people, I think amethyst points are really good. Clear quartz points I like, and the natural pieces of crystal. Rose quartz is amazing and what it can do for people, and a lot of people pick up on that, even just using it without the healing side. But my favourite's clear quartz for me.
What kinds of people come for crystal healing?
Lots of different people come for crystal healing. It depends on where they're at. I think sometimes people at the end of the tether don't know where to turn, have either been to the doctors or things are not happening right for them, so then they come for healing. So you might have people got anxiety or stress or not sleeping, or people with illnesses and just need a help and a boost, or people that are grieving. Lots of different people come, and everybody gets something different from crystal healing. It either helps them rebalance and get a good energy, or they'll have a release of whatever they need to release that they're holding on to, that perhaps clears their illness that they've had. Then to your solar plexus, we're going to put a citrine there. And a bit further up, going to place rose quartz on your heart, perhaps some green aventurine, And then we're going to move up to your throat chakra and place a sodalite. And then we're going to put amethyst on your third eye and a clear quartz on your crown chakra. I'll leave you there and hold your space for a good few minutes, and then I will take my wand and take out all the negativity throughout the body and then replace it with positive energy and through the chakras as well.
How do people feel after they've had crystal healing?
That can either be, you can have somebody that's really energised after crystal healing and be on total cloud nine and really happy and uplifted and really bouncy. Or you can have the opposite, where somebody might have gone through lots of different things and not released it through their life, and then come for healing and they have what we call like healing crisis. So that's when they'll get upset and release all that they've been storing in their body and their unit for all that time. So yeah, you can have somebody that gets upset. So there's a mixture, but generally, even if somebody's upset, they leave feeling really good because they've enjoyed it and had time out for them.
Do people come back to you? Do you get regulars coming back to you?
Yes, definitely get regular people. Some people really enjoy having the release or re-energizing. A lot of people say that it's sort of like a reset where they're having time out for themselves, so they really enjoy just having that moment and the space and time that we create doing the crystal healing to re-energize them.
Very interesting, thanks Nuala. Now, we've had the historical, it's time for the oracle.
So I am joined by an enthusiast of oracle cards, and we're just here to discuss the use of oracle cards and their practicality. So tell me about when you first started using oracle cards.
I first started using oracle cards about a year and a half ago. My boyfriend's mother actually does Reiki and a lot of crystal healing and cards and tarot cards and stuff. So, you know, she kind of showed me a lot of them, and I kind of got it through her. Then I just kind of took it upon myself to know a bit more about it. That's how I got into it.
So do you have to have any special qualities to be able to use the cards?
A lot of people have the stigma that you have to have like a third eye or a sixth sense to use the oracle cards, but you know, you can be a normal person. You're not chosen by the angels or anything, but you know, you learn the basics and you learn the different angels to the cards and you know what is what. Then you go from there. You don't have to have anything special. You don't have to have any knowledge prior. You can get into it fresh.
Do you have any additional comments?
A lot of people should try getting into oracle cards. I know a lot of people don't believe in it, but if you just give it a go, you can go and get a reading for quite cheap, or you get your own cards from certain places that do them. You can learn from scratch, and you know, it does help a lot of people in day-to-day life. You can feel less stressed. You can feel like you've got more of a path to go to. It helps you through every day. It can really boost your morale and give you something to work towards and something to look forward to.
That's all we've got time for today. Thanks for all our guests on the show, from ghost hunters to scientists, from crystal tellers to oracle card readers. Just remember, spooky stuff is all around us. Keep watching out for it. You never know when life will surprise you.
This is Utter Radio, and you're listening to My Manc Mysteries.